Charles Manson did not become the Antichrist and take over the world, right? We're ending in the apocalyptic.
My telling of the history is the hippies did win. That's when progress stopped and the hippies won. In the 17th century, I can imagine a Dr. Strangelove taking over the world. In our world, it's far more likely to be Greta Thunberg. The Greta future.
Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg's on a boat.
Greta Thunberg.
God will not leave us eternally being lectured by Greta Thunberg, right? He will not abandon us.
The only three on offer in Europe are green, Sharia, and totalitarian communist state. And the Greta future is by far the strongest.
All right, we've done a few episodes in a row of kind of some pretty heavy theory, some pretty hard reading, some pretty homeworky shit. So this is some less homeworky shit. We watched an interview with someone who we all know his name, right? We all know who he is. He is super funny. But I didn't know he was a fucking wacko. Like, he's a boogeyman for the left, broadly speaking. So we thought, it'd be fun to see what his psychological state looks like in a 1 hour off the leash kind of interview, because he's a powerful guy. And at best, we're disturbed. This was very entertaining.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of a nutcase.
Yeah, it was more than disturbing. Now, we did talk a lot about Peter Thiel in a previous episode. Which one was that?
Did we?
That was about the mold bug episode, when we were getting into some of the dark enlightenment stuff. Yeah, he's got something called the stagnation thesis, which is basically saying there's this like extremely fast technological process starting at 1750 with the Industrial Revolution and going all the way to the 1970s. We were at this like progress, economic growth, and technological development and scientific progress at an accelerating pace, and then it comes to a halt for various reasons, and we go into a phase of stagnation. And AI is one of the great exceptions.
Not just immortality, but also like we're not trying to go to Mars, apparently, and like that's a sign we're not making progress.
And we're not investing heavily in nuclear power, and like he said, all the research stopped with the Alamo, Los Alamos. It really stopped progress in nuclear research, and he's like it's tied into his hatred of socialism and thinking that like the government and socialism are the same thing, and anything the government does is socialist. So regulating AI, all that weird woke AI shit, that's socialism. Regulating nuclear bombs because, everyone having nukes could be problematic, that's socialism. Anything the government does is socialism. It's tied in with that kind of idea as well.
You're making him sound too sane. This is like the argument that any sane right-winger would make. Socialism is the enemy. Well, but this guy,
not that.
I think it is insane.
This is one of the top 10 most powerful people in the world, probably, arguably, right? Is there any argument there?
Yeah, probably.
He's a billionaire, so he's up there.
He's got one of the most valuable companies, probably one of the top 10 tech companies at least.
Palantir?
By market cap. And it's on the increase. Unlike some of the other ones, it's on the increase. But I just wanted to, before we get into his strange theories of eschatology and his strange theories of history, I just thought he's a very weird vibes guy. Like, for being one of the most powerful people in the world, he is paranoid, I want to say. He's extremely paranoid, but also what he fears, maybe it's just because I'm not a billionaire, but the fears he has make no sense. His conspiracy theory, we'll skip to the end maybe. His conspiracy theory is that the Antichrist is Greta Thunberg, and Greta Thunberg is going to end history. But also that history already, as you alluded to before, history ended in either 1945 or 1969, because after the moon landing, then LSD and Charles Manson took over I don't know what. They took over. They
Dude,
took over the world.
That comment
Yeah,
was
the hippies
fucking
won.
insane. The comment about Charles Manson like made me pause the video, rewind, and it was like, what the fuck did he just said? He said something in the line, and I think this is probably one of the most revealing lines in the interview. He said something in the line that Charles Manson took LSD and became a Dostoevsky villain. He transcended laws and morals, but not anyone can be like Charles Manson. It's like, what the fuck are you implying, dude? Like what was he saying? Like that whole sentence, the sentence by itself, like Charles Manson took LSD and became a Dostoevsky villain. He transcended morals, but not everybody can be like Charles Manson. Like the implications of that sentence alone is for an essay. I swear to God.
Yeah, everyone became as deranged.
If you think we're lying, I can drop in the citations here.
Baconian science, it ended at Los Alamos, and then it was okay. It ended there, and we didn't want to have any more. And when Charles Manson took LSD in the late '60s and started murdering people, what he saw on LSD, what he learned was that you could be like Dostoevsky, an anti-hero in Dostoevsky, and everything was permitted. And of course, not everyone became Charles Manson, but in
Charles Manson,
my telling of the history, everyone became as deranged as Charles Manson.
But Charles Manson did not become the antichrist and take over the world, right? We're ending in the apocalyptic.
No, but my telling of the history of the 1970s is the hippies did win.
Everyone became as deranged as Charles Manson. Charles Manson did not become the Antichrist and take over the world. We're ending in the apocalypse. So the Antichrist is this coming apocalyptic figure.
If anyone's wondering why Victor's camera is off, it's because he is like Charles Manson on LSD and completely deranged.
He's in a cabin somewhere. Yeah.
I mean, I'm so tempted to try my camera again because I did move closer to the house. I don't know. We can just try, see if it works. But I don't know. Is that working?
Look at that Canadian wilderness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his backyard.
Sounds like a great place to hide some bodies, Victor. Yeah.
I have to hold my mic because I forgot my mic stand back in Toronto.
Just at City Hall for the day.
He's at the Brazzoni family compound.
It's in the woods.
I'm actually in a house that's made of hay bale. Anyway,
so Peter Thiel started as a venture capitalist. Like he raised like $1 million from friends and family. He started investing in some shit. He got into PayPal. Like he started with these anarcho-capitalist libertarian ideas of saying that, like you guys were saying, like he's framing socialism in a very caricaturesque way. Like anything the state does is anti-natural because it creates boundaries for human behavior. So libertarians appeal to this notion that capitalism is human nature, and as we are traders and we tend to naturally develop towards capitalism. But at some point, he also says that Elon Musk gave up on the dream of going to Mars because socialism will follow us into Mars. And then he's like, so dude, like, what the fuck are you saying? So if socialism is going to follow us into Mars, if we expand as a transplanetary civilization, then maybe socialism is human nature, you fucking asshole. It's like, what the fuck? Like I don't get these guys. Like they try to make these very deep, like profound sounding arguments, and they treat them in the most dumb, stupid way possible. It's truly insane. Like they don't even understand the ideology they're supposed to be defending. Like most of what he says is purely schism. It's not even meaningful or rooted in a philosophical system by itself.
And again, lest you think that he's making too much sense by arguing against socialism. No. There are three forces that are fighting. I'm going to insert the clip too. There are three forces that are currently battling over Europe. The dragons, maybe you call them.
I want to say it's the only thing people still believe in Europe. Like, they believe in the green thing more than Islamic Sharia law or more than in, the Chinese communist totalitarian takeover. And the future is an idea of a future that looks different from the present. The only three on offer in Europe are green, Sharia, and, the totalitarian communist state. And the green one is by far the strongest.
They are Chinese style communism. Okay.
Yeah.
In Europe.
Yeah.
Right. Sharia law and environmentalism.
And Greta Thunbergism.
Environmentalism, and then supposedly progress is the one being drowned out here. But environmentalism is winning the fight against Sharia law and Chinese communism for control over the end times battle of Europe.
It's insane. I swear to God, it's beyond insane. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Which I love. This is genius. The problem is, okay, I have a problem with the interviewer here. I wanted to
let's talk about Ross Douthat. Yeah.
I want to quickly bring this up because I was like, okay, New York Times, you expect competence. They went to probably a good journalism school. But this guy kept
He's their token conservative though. That's Ross Douthat is the token conservative.
I didn't know that, but I learned from having done some research on him, because there was no ideological pushback. And then Peter Thiel says offhanded things like, well, Greta Thunberg is the Antichrist. And the interviewer goes, well, she might be the Antichrist, but kind of what you're saying is like the control over economic growth is the Antichrist, right? And Peter Thiel's like, no, actually, Greta Thunberg.
No, she's Satan. Yep.
Yeah, he's like sitting there rationalizing his crazy things. He's like rationalizing them, be like, yeah, I understand. I don't agree with your rhetoric, but I agree with the substance of what you're saying. It's like, okay, great.
Let's look at. I'll put it up here. This is the Ross Douthat's last article, which is called
I read it.
How Israel's War Became Unjust. First sentence: Israel's war in Gaza is not a genocide, period. It's a war for a just cause. The elimination of a cruel, fanatical, potentially genocidal terrorist organization, blah, 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 blah. So this is last week.
Guess the rest.
But I went deeper, okay? So that's bog standard conservative media person. I found out, first of all, you'll love this, Victor, adult convert to Catholicism.
Mm.
But why did he convert to Catholicism? He's, quote, a huge fan of Lewis, a mid-20th century Anglican who penned the Chronicles of Narnia, and J.R.R. Tolkien,
C.S. Lewis.
another anti-modern conservative Catholic. So if you converted to Catholicism because of Lord of the Rings, I say,
and the Lion,
and the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I say you should not be allowed to own a computer, and especially not be allowed to spread your opinions in the New York Times.
Well, it was weird though, wasn't it? There were like weird conservative themes that were coming out through that interview too, or sorry, weird Christian themes, because I feel like the debate over what the Antichrist is, and I kept feeling like Ross Douthat kind of wanted to like agree, but then I don't know if you guys noticed, but I felt like there were just moments where then like Peter Thiel would say stuff and like you could feel Ross Douthat being like, that's definitely like, that's weird. Like, that's not what like Christians think, kind of like. I felt like he was reacting on behalf of like a Christian audience and kind of being like, well, like maybe there's a way that like this could make sense. And then Peter Thiel would say something crazy and he'd be like, I don't okay, like maybe.
But it's the same like a non-prolific argumentation that discussing about the density of the mineral and materials of the One Ring being carried to Mordor. You know, like they're trying to out-Christian themselves. It's like, man, this is totally bullshitty. This being in the New York Times is beyond pathetic. It's beyond pathetic.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's New York Times trying to be pluralistic.
Not just Book of Revelation fanfic, but Lord of the Rings fanfic.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and if this guy were actually like I know Eric has brought this up ad nauseum, but if you actually read Lord of the Rings, this guy is literally Saruman.
Yeah.
He wants to breed his own workforce.
Yes,
check.
totally.
He wants to live in a private city that he controls in a tower that he's the supreme lord of. Check. He created
Palantir.
He wants to cut down all the trees so he can heat his furnaces to make flying fucking cars for technological progress.
He owns Palantir.
And there's the fourth one. Owns Palantir.
It's insane.
Which the devil used to corrupt Saruman at a distance. Like, what are we doing here, guy?
Exactly. The magical stone that Sauron takes over people's minds with.
Exactly. It's crazy. I also feel like my overall feeling is like this is like a rich guy who just like wants to live forever. Like I feel like that was, you know, like if I was to oversimplify it, I'm just like, this is like an obsessive rich guy who wants to live forever, and he's mad that society isn't like trying to figure that out sooner. And it's like the environmentalists who are getting in the way. And like at one point he even says, I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but he's like, you know, medical research needs to take more risks. And in other words, what does he mean by that? He means like experiment more on humans, like experiment on marginalized people more,
Trials,
just get me that fucking immortality, whatever it takes. And like this market, like all these environmentalists and ethical concerned people, they're getting in my way of immortality. And like I feel like that's like his number one. Like if I was to, obviously oversimplification, but that's my feeling of like his obsession.
Which again is Saruman, who bred orcs in his like dungeons.
Yeah. But low-key, I felt he's like this so self-loathing pervert. You know, like I felt this constantly over the interview. There's this notion like to be a transhumanist. One reading of transhumanism from a Marxist background, it will be this very famous sentence from Marx: everything that is solid gets melted into liquid, and everything that is sacred becomes profane.
Into air. Yeah.
No. Okay. So sorry that my translation was wrong.
Into air.
So
melted into air.
Becomes into air, and everything that is sacred becomes profane. And I think like the second part is clear. He mentions these dialectics between sacred and profane constantly. From sacred is either progress or stagnation, and profane is the opposition. You know, like we could even use, like, I've been reading Bataille a lot on the difference between homogeny and heterogeny, and the opposition and the exclusion of otherness. And like in this sense, I felt constantly in his discourse these dialectics between stagnation and progress, sacred and profane, right? But the self-loathing part, according to me, is the fact that transhumanism, in a way, is a loathe for flesh, or a you know, like a hate for material limitations. To truly believe in transhumanism, and he makes this point during the interview, you know, like he says, we can be more trans than transvestites. You know, I want to change my heart. I want to change
they're not going
my
far
brain.
enough.
You know, like you have to have a certain degree of detachment from your body, or even loathe and hate for your own self, to be able to say, I want to transcend myself to a point where I leave everything else behind, where I just disappear into nothingness. You know,
but I think that's connected to his immortality. I think because like his hatred, like I feel like his hatred is
self-loathing, not.
I did not pick up the self-loathing because I don't think he considers his body to be himself.
I feel like he hates the fact that his body's going to kill him. But it was weird because later he said, like, I don't want to like be in some computer. I want my body. I want to keep my body. So, but I also totally picked up on what you said, Diego, too. So I was actually confused because on the one hand, I felt like he was talking about transcending, but then at other points he said something about how he wanted to like not live in a computer program or something like that.
And the reason he picks up this sort of whole Christianized argument too with the Antichrist is he's saying like Orthodox Christianity supports transhumanism. Like it's even more transhumanism than any ideology, because the idea is that like you die and you are reborn. Yeah. Like it's literally like rebirth in an afterlife and a promised land.
Yeah, Christians should be ultra transhumanist is like kind of his thesis.
Yeah, so he's trying to re-articulate this stagnation thesis in a religious register, saying the coming Antichrist is whatever, the Greta future, or whatever this is.
Exactly.
And what we need to do to avoid that, he's saying, is separate between two Antichrist views. One of them is, he says, the 17th century Antichrist view, where some evil madman is going to invent, kind of like Sauron with the ring, right? And some evil madman is going to invent technology, Doctor Strangelove style, and hold the world hostage. The classic movie villain of like Marvel. But he's saying, no, there's a new Antichrist now. And the Antichrist is the one who convinces you to hand over all your technology into the government's safekeeping to regulate everything. And he says that's the true Antichrist. And that is a like irreparable stagnation situation that he feels like we need to avoid, but also that it's kind of here already. It was, I think the interviewer brought that out a little bit, that was a kind of unclear, and so his mission is to like avoid that by developing, I don't know, Palantir, developing surveillance technology and facial recognition technology and selling AI to Israel to help like bomb Gaza. I don't understand his reasoning. And it was the funniest moment is near the end when the interviewer is like, don't you think like the Antichrist would be doing what you're doing, basically. Like, if you want to avoid the Antichrist, but you fucking sound like the Antichrist, man. Come on. And then his response was like, well, there's different degrees.
You're deeply invested in Palantir, in military technology, in technologies of surveillance, in technologies of warfare, and so on, right? And it just seems to me that when you tell me a story about the Antichrist coming to power and using the fear of technological change to sort of impose order on the world, I feel like that Antichrist would maybe be using the tools that you were building, right? Like, wouldn't the Antichrist be like, great, we're not going to have any more technological progress, but I really like what Palantir has done so far, right?
Yeah,
I mean, isn't that a concern? Wouldn't that be the irony of history would be that the man publicly worrying about the Antichrist accidentally hastens his or her arrival?
There are all these different scenarios. I obviously don't think that that's what I'm doing.
And he goes on to say how the Antichrist future will come about, in his view, which is just like either genetically we'll just become a more docile species, or like through thorough wokeization, we will just give up all technology to the safekeeping of like an atomic priesthood style of like Warhammer 40K, the fucking Mars tech priests or something like that are going to take all our technology away from us.
We need a golden
It's
emperor.
an insane vision, but I'm not surprised that people from Silicon Valley who love Ayn Rand and get invited to do talks by the Ayn Rand Society believe this shit.
Yeah.
It's not surprising.
We have 2,000 years of eschatology trying to interpret Revelation. Who's the Antichrist? Is it Nero? Is it the Pope? Is it Stalin? Is it Hitler? No, it's a Swedish Zoomer with autism. That's the Antichrist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the fucking best, man. I swear to God. The Greta Thunberg Antichrist thing was like, oh my God, that's so perfect. It's
In the
so
17th
good.
century, I can imagine a Dr. Strangelove, Edward Teller type person taking over the world. In our world, it's far more likely to be Greta Thunberg.
Okay, I want to suggest a middle ground.
And he says it like so seriously.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
I
no,
know.
I'm not even being metaphorical here. She's literally Satan. Like, yeah, the blonde girl in the boat going to help starving kids in Palestine. Yeah, she's literally Satan.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally crazy.
his big thing is the Antichrist sells peace and safety. Bitch, you have like $10 billion in contracts from the military, ICE, CIA, and the guy's like, well, don't you think the Antichrist would be doing what you're doing? And he goes, I don't think so.
Yeah. Nah. Yeah.
The other thing that I found interesting is that he mentioned stagnation started in the 70s with like what we normally interpret as the
With Charles Manson.
Yeah, but with neoliberalism, like the 70s is widely known as if we take a Marxist reading of history as the probably the birth stage of neoliberalism with Margaret Thatcher and Reagan. And it's strange because he's fighting for deregulation. He truly believes monopoly is the best form of economic development because he's like this techno-feudalist or like utopian accelerationist, something like that. He truly believes monopoly is the best form of economy. But then at the same time, he's like, yeah, we're not taking enough risks to develop technology and not taking like moonshots in science. He's like, dude, that's against the logic of capital. Capital will always go for short-term profit. It will never take moonshots. On the other side,
his two examples of when progress stopped are the Manhattan Project and the moon landing, which are both funded by the government.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's why we cannot take these guys for serious. Like they're very dumb. Like they're very, very stupid.
Oh yeah.
Like
it's like he failed economics class. Like what happened in the 70s, like the oil shock, which was a massive supply side shock that Keynesian economics couldn't deal with, and then the beginning of stagflation, which is the combination of stagnation and inflation. It's like he failed that it didn't show up to that class in economics or something, and was just like, yes, stagnation, and he bullshitted his answer, and now he's run with it for the rest of his life. No, I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, the downturn was neoliberalism. That's usually what we associate with it. I understand hippies and Charles Manson taking LSD was the beginning of stagnation. It's very strange. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very dumb. Yeah, I always get angry at these people trying to blame woke on socialism. It's like, dude, woke is fully related to liberalism. It's like the division between body and subject, like the division between the state intervention and freedom of economics. Like all the things these guys hate about woke ideology is fully liberal. Like it's fully connected to liberal metaphysics, to liberal economic policies, to liberal public policies. And it's like, no, that's socialism. Like, okay, right, whatever.
Yeah, he's clearly got the worldview of an oligarch. But this, like Trump did this executive order on July 23rd called Preventing Woke AI in Federal Government, which is basically trying to regulate how AI is used in America, starting with the government, saying, his claim is that all these AI companies are putting all these DEI style parameters into AI and therefore like biasing them towards like leftism and social justice, which is another massive cope for the way that, is there a genocide? Is there a white genocide going on in South Africa right now? AI truthfully reports, no, there is not. Oh, that's woke. That's woke. You're ignoring my opinion. It's like, what do you want, guys? Like, you're mad about post-truth, but you're completely post-truth yourself. You're mad about wokeism, but you're down for regulating the shit out of things so that you can have these fringe opinions being heard and having the majority agreed upon opinions that have a lot of evidence backing them up to be dismissed. And yet, that's the woke side. Like their worldview is like it's like trying to reason with an alcoholic. You just can't do it. They'll just keep repeating their claims and never listen to what you're saying, and they go on in a loop.
Point of order: was this guy against woke at all? I don't remember that.
I think so. I think he's
woke
somewhat
AI.
Somewhat anti-woke.
He's against woke because it's a restriction on AI, but he's also super pro-trans because he wants more experiments done on people.
Yeah, but he says trans is not trans enough.
Yeah. So he wants extreme transhuman.
It's like
He wants to get
an abomination.
He wants to get a new heart. He wants like new blood from healthy teenagers
Babies,
in his body.
Remember, there's the woke leftist post-humanism, and then there's the hardline tech bro transhumanism, which isn't
He's
woke.
like a dark Hegelian accelerationist. I swear to God.
Is it worth mentioning his connection to JD Vance too? Because like JD Vance hung around. with, Peter Thiel all the time.
That's a hot topic.
Saw him as a mentor, so I think it's worth bringing that up. And then like the other thing that I think could be worth bringing up, and maybe if we want to do a part 2 to this, which would be like slightly more of an exploration, is that Peter Thiel's biggest influence is like Rene Girard and like this idea of mimetic desire. I don't know if you guys have ever actually sat down.
I totally forgot about
Girard
that.
does like a conflict theory where if there's a scarcity, let's say there's a scarcity of attractive women, and you see somebody attracted to women, those women, you imitate their desire and therefore create conflict over a scarce resource. That's like, I just read Nicholas Luhmann talking about the same thing earlier. And yeah, so this is Girard's like conflict theory.
And Peter Thiel actually had Girard.
Desire.
He actually had Girard as a professor at Stanford. So like they actually knew each other and kept in touch. So I think like, that's really interesting. And like, I don't know that much about mimetic desire. I remember kind of coming across and being like, this is sort of interesting, but like if I remember, like to oversimplify it, it's like the idea that human desire is like not like its own thing, but we basically desire things because other people desire them. So we're basically copying other people.
That's where conflict comes. Conflict arises because we imitate other people's desires in a world where the things we desire are fundamentally scarce.
Exactly, and then basically because we're always imitating other people's desires, that leads to conflict because we're trying to one up other people. We're trying to like show that we're the real thing when we're imitating people. And then we end up scapegoating, people who are our rivals. And then like Girard thinks that Christianity, so he's kind of a Christian, breaks this cycle of scapegoating because Christianity identifies with the scapegoat, Christ, right? Like, so it's like, so that's the idea anyway. Like, I'm not saying it's good or bad, but that's like my memory of sort of the idea. I don't know how that fits in with what fucking Thiel is saying now. But I know it's like a huge influence on Thiel, and it could be something fun to read later.
I think it connects maybe with Thiel's earlier thinking. One of the interesting things about this video was just hearing him do a bit of reflecting on his supporting Vance and being a very, very one of the first major supporters of Trump. Like, this guy's a billionaire, gets to decide how politics, who gets funding and who doesn't, and he basically funded the careers of J.D. Vance and Trump. And so he's decided how our political landscape is now. But he said, but the interviewer asked him, saying, "Okay, you don't really do that sort of thing anymore." No, he's like, "No, I got out of politics because it's incredibly important, but incredibly toxic." So he pulls out of this incredibly toxic political zero-sum game of funding politicians and reflects that what he thought he was doing didn't actually work out. He thought Trump was going to get in there, like, just basically destroy the government, break everything down, and maybe free him all his lovely research areas that have been regulated out of existence, like AI's in danger of becoming woke, no more nuclear, no human testing in biotech and medicine, like all those areas that he feels like the government has now put off limits. Trump was going to be like the savior, almost like a QAnon light theory of Trump coming in being the savior. And then he thinks that that kind of all went off the rails, and now he's not funding politics anymore. But it's that, yeah, I don't know. Maybe that conflict theory stuff fed into his earlier thinking. But where there's like an artificial scarcity being created by government regulation, and Trump was going to be his man to get in there and change that conversation, right? That's all he thinks he's accomplished, at least a little bit, is change the conversation a bit.
And I think that he also is critical of like the way that corporations in Silicon Valley just kind of try to copy each other's models. Like, I think that's where like he also brings in the mimetic desire, where he's like, all you guys are just like copying each other, and you should just do something unique, whatever the fuck that means. I don't know.
I was confused by he wants deregulation, but the two examples of deregulation, he actually just sounds like the other New York Times people, the abundance thing, because he wants to get rid of the FDA and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. I don't know if he brought up other examples. I just watched the second half now.
Well, PayPal is an attempt at deregulation. He wanted to get rid of central currency emission and control.
Yeah. And that's like the Bitcoin ideology.
Is he using the FDA and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission as examples of administrative overstep that he wants to get rid of, or do you think he has some specific project in those areas? What I got out of it, he's terrified of cancer and he's terrified of Alzheimer's.
Exactly.
He kept bringing those things up.
Like I said, he wants to live forever.
He's like actually paranoid. Like you can tell he's like laying in bed thinking about getting Alzheimer's and Greta Thunberg.
He's probably already forgetting about stuff. He's probably already forgetting about stuff, and he's becoming paranoid about it.
Well, in my mind right now, I'm kind of all of a sudden making this on-the-fly connection that I'm realizing, because maybe the reason why he worries about, like, or he's so obsessed with progress and like the stagnation is connected to the mimetic theory, because he might have a criticism of capitalism that like all they're ever doing is copying each other and doing things that are safe to make money, that are like kind of tried and true. And he's like worried now that no one's doing anything crazy and new because they just want to be safe. They want to copy everyone else. And because he's so obsessed with dying, he's like, we need to have some like radical company, like a moonshot that's going to do something that's not safe, right? So I feel like his criticism of capitalism, if there is one, is that it's too safe, it's too risk averse, because people just want to make money on things that are like easy, right? And then he's like, so his criticism doesn't come from like egalitarianism, probably like us, all of us at least to some extent have a criticism of capitalism that's at least about like the fact that it leads to very inegalitarian outcomes. But for him, it's like he doesn't really care about that. He's just like, why aren't people doing crazy enough stuff? It's like it leads to too much mediocrity, and I don't want to die. Yeah. So where are the people working on immortality? Right? Where are the fucking people working on immortality?
Yeah. And economic growth is going to slow as a result.
There's a moment where the interviewer asks him, like, so do you believe humanity needs to survive? And he takes a
that was an amazing moment. That was an amazing moment.
Is it hype? Is it delusion? Is it something you worry about? I think you would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in
Should
this.
the human race survive?
Yes.
Okay.
But I also would I also would like us to radically solve these problems.
Right.
And so, it's always, I don't know, transhumanism.
And then even the interview intervenes and said man, that's a very long time to respond to a rather simple question.
Long
and
hesitation.
Says, yes, but yes, but it's like what do you mean yes, but he's truly a transhumanist in that sense, and it's also connected to his theology in the sense that he doesn't believe in the necessity for materiality to transcend. So probably he's already either unconsciously feeling the decay of his own physical matter. And he has this pipe dream about transcendence that is non-material, and is also supported by his belief in Christianity, but also that, almost ontological terror of being non-material. It's already providing him with the notion of the antichrist as a result of his own logic. It's this eschatological idea where he wants to get rid of materiality to have this metaphysical transcendence, but at the same time the terrors bring him back to dementia and cancer. What he truly feels is not the antichrist, is dementia and cancer, but he wants to transcend his physical body. His unconscious is very noticeable in the way he structured his responses, I think.
Which is not Orthodox Christianity, because Orthodox Christianity, one of the early heresies, I don't recall the name, but one of the early Gnostic heresies was to say that Christ could not have been an actual flesh and blood human being. He had to only have appeared. I think it's like Arianism or one of those. He could only have appeared to be flesh and blood because it's impossible for physical matter to be redeemed. So he keeps using Christianity as a touchstone, but in fact he's probably more of a Gnostic, anti-humanist rather than a Christian humanist.
It is a kind of Christianized neoliberalism, because the reason his views are framed this way is because he's fundamentally like a libertarian, or whatever you want to call it, anarcho-capitalist, views. Atlas Shrugged is about how human flourishing is bogged down by bureaucracy, rules, red tape, and regulation, and that you got to shrug all that shit off. And that's basically, the neoclassical, neoliberal view, market fundamentalism. The free market is the fundamental natural state of human interchange, right? Which is not true. That's part of our confusion here, is that's not true. The free market requires loads of regulation to exist. And if you eliminated the government and the bureaucracy and the central bank and the treasury and all that stuff, there'd be no more money, there'd be no more free market. We'd be bartering and trading bottle caps like Fallout style. But he thinks that anything bureaucracy is bad, and he's Christianized that now into this creative, wonderful, it's like the Antichrist. It's like paving the way for the Antichrist. All this bureaucracy leading to, I don't know, either one world Chinese style Greta Thunberg Scandinavian socialism, right, on the one hand, or complete, because scarcity, right? What's the basic neoliberal idea about scarcity? The best way to distribute limited resources under conditions of scarcity is a completely free and unregulated market. That's the basic kernel of neoliberal ideology. And he's just turned that into a religious view, which is explicitly religious. It was implicitly all along religious, and it was wrong. But now he's making it explicitly religious, and anything that opposes that fundamental kernel of his worldview is preparation for the Antichrist. That's you're a servant of the Antichrist, which is in reality he's the Antichrist, as the fucking interviewer pointed out.
So in that sense, it's true. Communism is the Antichrist.
Yeah, it's an anti-socialist view, to say the least. Yeah, exactly.
I want to go out on a limb here. I think he is so rich and has so little material need that capitalism doesn't actually exist for him anymore. All this talk about markets and neoliberal, like it's gone from his mind because he has the afterlife and the battle of the three dragons. That is the only thing that exists in his mind now. And if you compare him, like I did a lot of, I put out a YouTube video and I did a lot of reading of like Gilded Age capitalists. And these guys like Henry Ford, the Rockefellers, they're very Calvinist, the Calvinist, the Weber thesis, just like put your head down. I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to be in the public eye. I don't need to have religious views. Yeah, there's no like afterlife. It's just their attitude is I'm rich, fuck unions. They know the market. They know what markets are. They're very involved in like the capitalist aspect of the capitalist life. Thiel is like, he needs to be an intellectual and an eschatologist. He's leaving the material world. And it's so funny to have him like have to talk and articulate his views. And the guy is even the guy who's his fanboy is like, bro, that's a little crazy. And he continues.
This just made me think, Calvinism is the view that you're predestined either to go to hell or to heaven, and that there is nothing in this life that you can do about it. It's different from Lutherans, right? Well, like Lutherans believe, sola fide, right? You just have to have faith and you'll go to heaven. But Calvinists are like, you cannot know if you're going to heaven or hell. And it's already predetermined anyway, and there's nothing you can do about it. So great, I can be a horrific capitalist and treat my workers like shit and destroy the environment and do all kinds of terrible shit. And there's nothing I can do to change my fate. That's why he thinks it's like a deterministic worldview. And it was interesting that Thiel said, no, like I'm not a determinist. I believe that there's a lot of room for human action and choice in history. So he's kind of pushing back on being identified as a Calvinist, saying, no, like I believe in free choice.
Yeah, he straight up says we shouldn't give too much agency to God because it's ours.
Yeah.
If we interpret this as a ultimate causation verse, they want to say I'm persecuting because God caused me to do this. God is causing everything. And the Christian view is anti-Calvinist. God is not behind history. God is not causing everything. If you say God's causing everything,
you're scapegoating God. But God is behind. But God is behind Jesus Christ entering history because God was not going to leave us in a stagnationist, decadent Roman Empire, right? So at some point. At some point, God is going to step in.
I am not that Calvinist, and
that's not Calvinism, though. That's just Christianity.
Yeah, like there's no God standing behind history. Like, but then this was the smart kind of move that the interviewer did, was that, but God is responsible for putting Christ into history. Like he placed Christ there. So the fact that you're saying it's all about like human choice and what you're doing at Palantir to prevent the coming of the Antichrist and that there's no God in history, I mean, this is a silly religious, like one version of Christianity versus another. But I thought it was interesting anyway to say, but you're saying there's no God behind any of this, but Christ and the Antichrist seem pretty connected to a decision that God has made.
So this is where I got a little bit like the pervert touch on his speech. He made an antagonism between low tax socialism that he said it was unsustainable because of Obama and consumer capitalism. So in his mind, in his libertarian mind, what he wants, what he implied negatively between the opposition of low tax socialism being unsustainable and consumer capitalism also being unsustainable. In his mind, what he wants, it's a high savings capitalism. It's a self-restraining capitalism system, because he wants to go either back to a feudal order where very Atlas Shrugged, only the very few visionary men will make the choices of where to invest all our resources. And he said the going to Mars in 2024 was a political project. It's almost like he's saying like these visionary men have to take the reign on top of the others and impose their will upon others, because the other two options are wrong. Free market is wrong, because we don't know how to do consumer capitalism is unsustainable. And low tax socialism is also unsustainable. He doesn't understand socialism. It's very clear. But his antagonism implies that what he wants negative. Yeah, what he implies negatively as a utopia is this sense of self-restraining capitalism, which is always ridiculous, because capitalism is at the same spot, a system where you're supposed to desire everything and aspire to have everything, but at the same time, a good capitalist is always saving for the future.
He wants low tax capitalism. If you do the math on what he said, he wants low tax capitalism.
Correct.
He thinks low tax socialism under Obama. I prefer that to high tax socialism, obviously, he says, but eventually socialism leads to high taxes. That's like what he thinks socialism does, is you just have to tax everything out of existence.
Bloat the social system.
Which is to say, low tax. He doesn't like consumer capitalism either, because consumer capitalism implies borrowing, right? You're a capitalist and you're borrowing. No, he thinks capitalists create value. Value only comes from capitalists in the free market doing things outside in the private sphere, and all government is just leading to socialism and high taxes. It's a very simplistic worldview that he's hung all these little bells and whistles onto, and Atlas Shrugged, the Antichrist, cryogenic freezing. Like, why don't we get back to that? That was so great. Hey, it's like, what?
Again, living forever. That's the thing. That's the theme here. Living forever.
If you think for 2 seconds about cryogenics, that's just kicking the ball down the road, because the future is going to figure out how to bring us back to life and cure the diseases that we're supposedly freezing ourselves in the first place to avoid. That
Maybe
doesn't
he already
help.
has cancer.
But probably that's it. So I'm going to freeze myself and let the future deal with that problem. So that's a non-solution. And to him, AI downloading your brain is a non-solution, because I want to keep my body.
Yeah. Can I say one good thing about him? I have one good thing to say about him. Because of his material conditions, and it wouldn't be Diego if I didn't use that sentence at least once in this video. If it wasn't because of his material conditions and agreeing with pills, as capitalism doesn't exist for him. He already has all his material needs probably solved, unless he has cancer and Alzheimer. That will explain a lot about his speech as well. But let's suppose he already has no worries about anything. He already has everything that he needs. All his material needs are fulfilled, so he can pipe dream about all this bullshit. He became a very long-term thinker, which I think it's conditioned to scarcity mentality. He doesn't have scarcity mentality, because he said, I invested in J.D. Vance and in Trump in 2016. And he said, in 2016, the probability of Trump winning was 50-50. But he said, maybe if I invest in him in 2016, we can change something about the direction of politics for 2025. Yeah, and only having those material conditions that allow you to have $1 billion and place a bet under a 10-year span, it's already like deserving of prize to say something at least.
So he's a pervert. He's anti-Calvinist. He hates his body. If there is a billionaire who's likely to have like an underground bunker filled with babies harvested for adrenochrome, it is this guy.
It is this guy.
Doesn't he? Does he harvest like his young people's blood, and there's that thing where
he's pro-Israel, so he's already pro-organ traffic.
Is he pro-Israel?
I don't know if it's a meme that he has blood boys, but I have heard it said. It's been alleged.
Yeah, it's been alleged.
I think Palantir is happy to do business with Israel.
You're saying that he's a pervert. His pervert structure, in contrast to other billionaires who do things because they want to self-aggrandize, or because they want power, or because they're just like selfish assholes, he kind of doesn't have that. He's kind of like left the register of normal concerns, and he's at a level of neuroses where he's like a cosmic entity. His perversion is that he's not as much of a cosmic entity as he wishes he was, and he's like extremely focused on the He is Saruman. This is Saruman shit.
Yeah, he's like,
he wants to be a transhuman abomination. He wants to be a transhuman abomination.
there's a sentence from Freud that for me it's always key to identifying perverse personalities, which is, I recognize the existence of laws, but they don't apply to me.
Yeah, it's like he's refusing. He can do anything he wants, and he's like writing and reading and thinking constantly about the end of the world. He has unlimited resources, but his perversion is to not enjoy anything.
And he thinks this deep, clever argument about stagnation and the antichrist and this like new form of evil that's like, one world government regulating technology out of existence and guaranteeing stagnation for all time. But he's just a classic Dr. Evil figure. Like, there's people outside of Palantir protesting him. He's making technologies that help police states and military states do what they do. He's literally doing the most evil shit you can imagine. And he thinks he's saving the world. He thinks he's doing, I don't know what he thinks.
I like him. He's
saving
insane.
A small chunk of the world anyway. Saving humanity in the abstract, not human beings, as we saw from the interview. Do you think humanity should survive? No, like he wants to save humanity by making it immortal, but he doesn't care about human beings as they exist, separate from him.
It's insane that he's libertarian and he believes we don't live in a libertarian society, but he already owns a president and a vice president. It's like, dude, like what else do you want to buy? Like really, like what power do you think American politics have over regulating companies if you are literally funding politicians for the past 10 years and you're already placing them into office? Like, what do you believe a libertarian society will look like, idiot?
Yeah, you can shape the most powerful empire in the world with money, and yet we're not neoliberal enough for this fucking guy.
Yeah.
No, he wants to buy life. He wants to buy
everything that is solid gets melted into air. Everything that is sacred becomes profane. I swear to God, that sentence is like the like what do you say, the pinnacle, like the root of transhumanism, in the sense of how capital turns everything into merchandises. I swear to God, in this guy's mind, utopia will be something like, I can offer you $10 million for your body, and you will disappear, and your consciousness will be transferred to someone else. And 99% of the population of the world will say, yes, give me $10 million, fuck my body. Like, this is what utopia looks like for Peter Thiel. Like the full mercantilization, like even quantum clouds will be sellable under his idea of a perfect society.
I do love it. I do love it when you see people that are like stereotypes, like living stereotypes. And I just feel like Peter Thiel watching it is just like the most delightfully perfect billionaire supervillain stereotype that exists in real life. And you look at him and you're like, wow, like, it's amazing that you're real and you're not like in some superhero movie.
And how powerful they are and who they're connected to. And that's insane. You know, connecting to Peel's last video on the channel, which is, by the way, fucking amazing, brilliant, and everybody should fucking see it. I'm going to do a live review on the video on Monday. But like this notion of how much capital interest shapes our worldview. And we are not even aware, like the sense that you haven't even to be critical about your ability to be critical about it, because your knowledge of the tools that you have to be critical about your worldview are also in a way pre-shaped by what you can or cannot see about the reality of society. Like I don't think we can even understand the amount of reach this guy has on our worldview.
It's you can see from his concerns, his neuroses, what he's paranoid about. It's just a complete world of abstraction, and he's not any happier, right? But just like the three dragons of Europe are Sharia law, China, and environmentalism. Like that's what's at stake. Currently,
the same thing that Frederick Jameson does with postmodernism, we need to do with this guy's ideology as well, which is to see how it is a product of the economic configuration, the mode of production, and the specific woes of our era, not just generally 200 years of capitalism, but like what's happening since the 70s that he thinks he's got all figured out. What he really doesn't. It's weird. But all this stuff is funny, but coming from this guy with being one of the wealthiest guys in the world, having the influence he does, basically being able to found a presidency, found a new party within the Republican Party, and fund an ideology. Remember how involved he was all with like Yarvin and all them? Like, it's scary that this guy's out here saying this stuff, even though it's kind of objectively funny.
It's an interesting alliance, though, on the right, that this guy is kind of influencing J.D. Vance. And, you know, maybe this is also a way in which I feel like the right is just so much better at building alliances. Because, I mean, Peter Thiel is like I said, he wants transhuman abominations. He's also like gay, right? It's like, and this guy's like a bit like built an alliance with like Catholic, you know, J.D. Vance. It's just interesting to me.
Oh yeah, interesting material for psychoanalysis. That's for sure. I got to read Bruce Fink and stuff and try to figure out what's going on.
I would love to do Bruce Fink. Yeah,
I thought this would be boring. Like if Zuckerberg were doing this, it would be totally boring, or Bezos. But this is a madman. This is the Faustian. The guy who made the Faustian bargain, and
totally.
now we're seeing the end of the story.
Dr. Faustus.
Totally. Yeah. Dr. Faustus' last moments.
And he's got Mephistopheles coming after him.
We got through eschatology. We got through the different interpretations of Revelation. We got through his various forms of mysticism, but that's a good place to lock her up, I think.
Yeah, and you know, those who are if there's a video of this, you can see I'm at a cottage right now, so I'm excited to get back out there. And
yeah, he's got his Charles Manson LSD hippie cult to get back to, because remember they won in the 70s, and they're here in Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
He's there in Queen's Park now.
Well, if he gets a drone striked, then we'll know where it came from.
Also, if people want to know more about AI and like Palantir, actually, just quick shout out. I think friend of the show or We're in Hell has a great video that came out called AI Weapons, and it's all about does a deep dive into Peter Thiel. And,
is that a YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube video. Yeah, We're in Hell, his YouTube channel.
Epoch Philosophy also made one that I didn't finish, but it was on Palantir. Really good editing.
Right.
Really good editing.
Nice.
Yeah,
so if you guys
there's
want
stuff
more
out there, if you want more, there's good stuff out there from a non-proselytizing fucking content creators.
So next one, we're going to have to get back into, I think we're going to look at psychoanalysis, but maybe
I'm down for psychoanalysis. Also, René Girard, if you guys want to do it, if you want to keep this theme going, I'd be curious to read René Girard.
I mean, it came up twice in two completely different contexts today. That can't be a coincidence. That's got to be a
it is
God
psychoanalysis adjacent also.
It's adjacent. He's a polarizing figure, though.
I can already tell just from our brief explanations of his. I can tell, yeah, that can lend itself to some pretty right wing shit too. But
exactly,
which
that's why
makes
it
interesting. Yes, yeah. Exactly.
Well, this fanboying, I don't know if you want to call him a bootlicker. This bootlicker interview called Peter Thiel, not just a billionaire, but one of the most important right wing thinkers of the age.
Despite the slight handicap of being a billionaire, there's a good case that he's the most influential right-wing intellectual of the last 20 years.
Amazing.
All right.
Amazing.
Cheers, guys. Have fun, Victor. Everyone else.
Thank you. Thank you very much, guys.
Later.
All right.